Good morning, Wildcats. Mr. Talman coming to you here in our Media Tech program. I just wanted to follow up and touch base with you on some of the questions that you had from our survey that we sent out as we're preparing to go to our full day schedule in the fourth marking period on April 12th. I just wanted to go over a few of those things and try to talk a little bit about what lunch will look like, most importantly, and a couple of the transition times during that schedule. So that's what we're going to do. So we'll take a look at the schedule together and talk about some of the questions that you had throughout the survey. One of the important things is during our lunchtime, it's going to be in the cafeteria annex, and the West Gym as our three primary locations to eat lunch inside. And that will be 6 feet of social distancing at all time while we're eating. And the masks are allowed to be off when we're eating or drinking. Otherwise, the mask will be on, as you see me here today, this morning with ours on. So that's going to be our guidelines. The mask will be on when you're not eating and drinking. When you're eating and drinking, your mask can be off. And everybody's going to be 6 feet apart at all times in those three eating locations. As you look at the schedule, one of the things I wanted to kind of go for is when we look at period 4 and 8. So we're going to talk about period 4 and 8 is going to be our locations. And then if you are in the 200 and 400 wing, you're going to be in H lunch. If you're in the 100 and 300 wing, you're going to be in a P lunch. So all you have to remember is what class location I'm in, period 4 and 8, and that's going to tell you what lunch I have for that day. Now let's look at that because you may see that on Monday and Tuesday, you may be in a different location, obviously, than on Thursday and Friday. So you may have the opportunity to eat in H lunch on 2 days and P lunch on another day, depending again on what your period 4 and 8 class is. We're going to dismiss 200 and 400 wings for our H lunch. The 200 wing is going to be going to the cafeteria in the annex, and the 400 wing is going to the West Gym location. When we look at the 100 and 300 wings for your classes, the 100 wing will be going to the cafeteria in the annex, and the 300 wing will report to the West Gym for your eating location. Once you get there on the first day, which is looking again at April 12th as our first day, what you'll see is that we're going to allow you to have a choice for your seats in those locations on the first day. So that way you can sit with some friends that you're coming with from class and so forth and so on to have a little bit more comfortableness as you eat during that time period. But once you pick that location to sit, that's going to be your spot that you're going to sit during a time period while you're in that location, okay? And that's for our health and safety guidelines to make sure that we know who's sitting where and during the lunch. If we look at going to outside, we're going to hopefully do that after the first week. Our outside eating location primarily will be the football bleachers, which again will be 6 feet apart, outside on those bleachers where we can get a large amount of students out there. But again, that will be after the first week or so, once the weather permits and allows us to be able to do that. Another thing that seniors I'm trying to work on, I saw that a lot in the survey too, is we're trying to define a senior area, hopefully by our old senior area, which will be much different because we can only have one person at a table at a time. Again, to follow our health and safety guidelines and to allow that 6 feet minimum of spacing. And then we'll hopefully be able to use our outdoor senior courtyard, which we can fit quite a few seniors in as well once the weather permits. So seniors, I am working on trying to develop that. That may not happen right away in the first week, but hopefully soon after that we're able to have that senior eating area as a senior privilege. That's one of the goals that we're trying to work on together to give you something to look forward to as our seniors as well. Another thing that came up a lot is the lunch themselves. The lunch is when you come into the cafeteria or the annex or the West Gym. We know we already have, just like they do in the morning, we have one entry point and one exit point just to make sure we keep the flow of traffic down and congestion down. So you're going to go through those same areas when you come into the cafeteria, the annex, and the West Gym, and then you're going to exit from the same areas as well. Just like we do in the morning, you can see that the desks are already spaced out 6 feet apart. In the West Gym, we will use our lunch tables. And our lunch tables will allow for 2 people at each of our big lunch tables. So it won't be like it was in previous years. It will be 2 people at a time in those lunch tables. When you come into those locations, you'll be able to grab your lunch, which will be free and continue to be free like it is now for everybody. So everybody will continue to get free lunches as we have all year. And that will be a cold lunch, cold sandwich that you're going to grab in on the way in. You're going to go to your assigned spot, sit down. And at that point, we'll let everybody take their mask off and we have our lunchtime to eat and also to have our drinks, okay? And then when you leave at the end of the day, you'll get your free breakfast as well, which is an important thing. So you won't have your breakfast all day. You'll get that when you leave, and that will be your fresh breakfast for the end of the day or for the next morning, whatever you choose. But that way you won't have to have that with you all day long. And one of the other final points I want to talk about with the schedule as you look at it again, we had the H lunch, we had the P lunch. We did Based on student feedback and working with our student leadership group, we did change that because it was very confusing with the A and B part of it, and we apologize for that initially. So we're working on trying to clarify that, and we will tweak things as we go based on your feedback, again, if we need to, and the staff feedback. Another important reminder is we do have a non-eating location during lunch. So if you choose to go to the auditorium, will be our location, which is right now we have our 9th graders there in the morning, very similar design. You can go there for a supervised study hall during your lunch, and that will be a non-eating location if you choose to. We'll look and see how it goes, and if we need more space, we'll utilize the media center as an overflow area as well for our non-eating location. What does that mean? That means on that day, if I choose on Monday to come in and I don't want to have lunch that day, I had a big breakfast and I want to just go to the auditorium for my study hall, I can do that. And then on the next day, Tuesday, I come in and I decide I want to go to my lunch, well then I go to my assigned location. So you can change those each day, but within the same day, we ask that once you're in a location that you stay in that location, again, for our health and safety guidelines to make sure that you're following those guidelines. So you're going to stay in that location once you choose it for the day, but you can choose to go to the auditorium the next day if you choose to, or vice versa, whatever is best for you and your schedule, okay? And then the last thing we'll talk about is bathrooms. The bathrooms will be just like they are right now. We'll have one person at a time that will be able to go into the bathrooms. The bathrooms around the cafeteria and around the West Gym will be open during lunch, and they'll be monitored, and you'll just have to sign in just like we do now. Again, one person at a time will be able to enter those bathrooms for our health and safety guidelines. We know this is going to be different. We know it's going to be a little challenging at first to get through a new schedule and a lot of things that are going to take place. There's going to be a lot of logistics to figure out, and we hope that we can work together and get your feedback on things that we need to fix, just like we did when we went to unit lunch years ago. We know that it was going to take some time for us all to kind of get used to it. So if you have any questions, please continue to ask us. Please continue to email us any questions that you may have, and we're looking forward to working together to work through the schedule on April 12th. As we go to our full day schedule. The last thing is, if you look at the end of the schedule, you see that there's a staggered release, and that staggered release is again to keep down the congestion. So we're going to be releasing just like we do now based on wing. So 100 and 300 wing first, and then 200 and 400 wing will release to the buses and then also to their cars or getting picked up by their parents. A great question that came up in the survey was extracurriculars and athletics. They will begin right after 2:10, so you won't have to go home and come back. They will begin right after 2:10. And more information will be coming about that for athletics and also extracurriculars. Thank you so much for your time, Wildcats. We look forward to answering more questions that you have. Have a great day.